went to the Nutcrackers yesterday, and we have a couple young members of the cast of the congregation, and I have to say that I absolutely loved it, and that was a bit of a surprise to me. I have a sort of love-hate relationship with the Nutcracker. My memories of seeing it are when I was very young, and my parents took me and my sisters, and it wasn't always a really fun outing. We were fidgety and not really all that connected with what was going on, and so it wasn't really our thing, and quite often we'd end up in some kind of trouble on the car ride home. In my previous life as a musician, I played something like 250 or so performances of the Nutcracker on celeste, that little keyboard bell instrument that you hear towards the end when the Sugar Plum Fairy dances. And that was a great way to make money, but you play 15 to 20 or more performances each December, and it really got pretty boring. Because I would have to sit in the very back of the pit, so over my head would be the stage, and I could hear the dancers kind of thumping along. And I could see on the faces of the people out in the audience in the balcony that they were absolutely enchanted by what was going on, but I could not see it. So I had not seen a performance of the Nutcracker in something like 20 years. And it was really a great pleasure to see it, to get that perspective, to see the dancing and all the kids and the sets and the scenery, and to hear the music without worrying about what it was that it was my turn to play. It really was a treat. I think that one of the gifts of Advent is the invitation to look at the world in a different way, to see more than just our little corner of it. In the reading from the Old Testament this morning, Jeremiah is writing to the Israelites who are living in exile in Babylon. The Babylonians have laid siege to Jerusalem, they've broken down its walls, they've razed the city to the ground, they've destroyed the temple, and they've hauled the people off into exile in Babylon. And the people understandably think that this is the end. It's the end of the line. Life as they know it is over. Their religion is over. Their cultural life is over. Everything is over. And they're beginning to try and think about making a new life for themselves there in Babylon. And Jeremiah says, wait, what looks like the end, what looks like destruction, what looks like the last thing in your lives is actually going to be an occasion for rebirth, for renewal. God will lead you back to Jerusalem. God will rebuild the city, rebuild the temple, and reestablish you as a nation among nations. These final things will not be the last things. In our reading from Luke's Gospel, Jesus is telling the disciples and those gathered around that there are going to be many signs of disasters. There'll be earthquakes and storms and armies threatening the nation, and everything will look like it's coming to an end. And what he essentially says is, don't panic. It's not the end. What's going to happen is that God's kingdom, God's heavenly kingdom, will come down and be established on earth. What looks like the end will be an opportunity for renewal. It will be an opportunity for rebirth. Looking at the world in a different way is one of the invitations of Advent. And I've been thinking a bit for myself about what my kind of Advent practice will be this year. And I've come up with 3 things for myself that I kind of hand along to you, and maybe you have other ideas for yourselves. The first thing, which I have to remind myself to do, is to take some time out for quiet and reflection. If you're the kind of person who likes to sit in silence and your monkey brain doesn't drive you nuts with kind of making shopping lists and stuff, great. Sit and listen for where God may be calling you this Advent season. If you're the kind of person who needs something to occupy your mind while you're sitting in quiet, we have booklets with Advent meditations, one for each day. They're short, but I think they're really quite excellent. You can grab one on your way out of church. And as a way of deepening your spirituality, deepening your faith during this Advent season. Take a few moments out of each day this month and reflect on your faith, reflect on where God is calling you. And second, as I was unpacking from Thanksgiving, I found a small booklet a book by Oliver Sacks called Gratitude that I had thrown in my bag at the last minute and then forgot about and didn't find when I was gone on Thanksgiving. I read it. It's a short book, 4 or 5 essays that Oliver Sacks wrote at the end of his life. He was a psychiatrist. He worked with all sorts of patients over the course of his career. He wrote extensively. He was fascinated by the science of how the brain works, the ways that it kind of tricks us into doing things, the ways that we are and aren't aware of reality, the reality around us. I had read some of his other books and found them fascinating, but I hadn't read this last one. Short essays towards the end of his life. The first one on the occasion of him turning 80 years old. And he reflects on the blessings of having reached that milestone. He acknowledges that, yes, there are things physically that he can't do any longer, but he's grateful for the friends he's made. He's grateful for the opportunity he's had over his life to work, to write, as he puts it, to commune with the world. He is enormously grateful for this life and grateful to be turning 80. As it happened, shortly after his 80th birthday, he was diagnosed with a recurrence of a very rare form of cancer that he had battled 10 years prior. And this time there was no treatment that would cure him, and he knew that the end was near. And the remaining essays are his reflections on his impending death. And again, they are infused with gratitude. Gratitude for the time that he has left, gratitude for the days that he feels well and up to getting around, gratitude for the opportunity to write a few more essays, gratitude for a life well lived. Sacks did not live a charmed life. His life was not free of conflict or trouble, but his gratitude for his life just pours off with page. My Advent resolution is not to wait till I'm 80 to feel gratitude for my life. And so I'm going to spend some time intentionally each day thinking about what it is I am grateful for. Maybe write some of this down so that I remember on those days that I'm having trouble thinking about what it is I'm grateful for, that I can take a look and remember all the blessings that I have been given. Finally, as you know, President Bush died yesterday, and in all the tributes to him on the radio and on television, the one that keeps kind of popping out with me is the letter that he left for Bill Clinton in the Oval Office as he left office. You may remember it, but it's short and it reads, "Dear Bill, when I walked into this office just now, I felt the same sense of wonder and respect that I felt 4 years ago. I know you will feel that too. I wish you great happiness here. I never felt the loneliness some presidents have described. There will be very tough times, made even more difficult by criticism you may not think is fair. I'm not a very good one to give advice, but just don't let the critics discourage you or push you off course. You will be our president when you read this note. I wish you well. I wish your family well. Your success now is our country's success. I'm rooting hard for you. Good luck, George." Every time I read this letter, it just gets me. President Bush had just been defeated, made a one-term president after having waited so long to be president, defeated by someone that it's clear in the campaign he had serious doubts about. Serious doubts about his character, serious doubts about his readiness to perform the job. And yet, to leave such a heartfelt, thoughtful, and supportive letter to his successor speaks volumes about his character, and it speaks volumes about the better part of our human nature. I look at the world rarely through rose-colored glasses. I am more likely to criticize virtually everything that I see, whether I do it out loud or just keep it in my head. I'm getting better as I get older at keeping it in my head. But I've resolved this Advent to try and live into my better nature, to see the good in people, to see the good even in the people that I disagree most with, to think about ways that I can build up the people around me. 3 of my practices for this Advent: a practice of reflection and devotion, time out, a practice of gratitude, and a practice of working to build up the people around us. Maybe you have your own practices, maybe you have your own way to see the world in a different way this Advent. I hope that Advent is a blessing to you this season. Amen.